Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Joffrey Noodle Legs here today, and welcome once again to my Alfred Hitchcock week. And we're looking at another movie from this box set of awesome movies. And today we're going to be looking at this classic, The Birds, starring, oh, what's her name? She's got a very strange name, Tippery something. Oh, I can't remember. But she's got a strange sort of like name. It's got and the guy's Rod Taylor, Tippett Hedren, something like that. Her name is the main character, and it's like I think it's probably one of her first films. This is an old film of Hitchcock's. I think does it tell me the year? Let me have a quick look, guys. Let me have a quick look. See if it gives me the years of these films in this box, because I didn't really look. 1963. So there we go. This film starts off. It's a bit of a slow burn at the beginning, and it kind of starts off where we're in San Francisco, and we see sort of like 1960s sort of San Francisco, and we see this young woman walking around with all her sort of hair sort of all bouffant up on her head, and she's walking across the road, and she's going to this pet shop, and this pet shop, I don't know if it just sells birds, but it looks like it just sells birds. And she goes into this pet shop, and you see her talking to the woman who works in the pet shop, and she's trying to order a minor bird for a present for a family member. And she's talking about getting it delivered because it's not arrived yet. She thought it was going to be there, but it hasn't arrived. So she's talking to them about it getting delivered. And then our young sort of hero turns up. He comes into the store, and he sort of like starts talking to her like she works there, because she's up there on her own. The woman's gone off to find out some information about when the delivery can be, and he thinks that she works there, or does he? In fact, it turns out he knows her, and he's sort of like playing a sort of trick on her a little bit, because she doesn't know who he is. And he kind of starts asking her to get some lovebirds, and she sort of like waffles on, pretending to pretend she knows what she's talking about, and she hasn't got a clue. And he shows him some birds. He goes, "Oh, these are lovebirds." He goes, "No, they're not lovebirds." And then she shows him some canaries. He goes, "Here, they're lovebirds." He goes, "No, they're not lovebirds. They're canaries." So it's like they're both trying to sort of like catch each other out. And so this sort of conversation goes on. And then he sort of breaks and says to her that he knows who she is because he saw her in court. Apparently, she's the daughter of a sort of like rich guy who owns like a big newspaper, and he's like a lawyer. And she was in court for something, and he remembers seeing her there. That was all. And so yeah, the conversation goes on like that, and they're quite sarcastic to each other. And then he sort of goes out with no success for the lovebirds. So she goes out and follows him out the shop to see where he's going, and gets the registration of his car. And she then asks people she knows, obviously because Dad owns a paper and stuff, to find out who owns this car. And then she goes back up to the woman in the shop and orders a couple of lovebirds. She finds out that who he is, and she takes these lovebirds round to his flat, his apartment, but he's not there. And one of the neighbours starts talking to him, says, no, he goes away every weekend to this bay outside of town. It's like a little sort of fishing bay. And he goes there every weekend. And so he won't be back till Monday. So the birds, you can't just leave them there. So she sort of finds out where this bay is, and it's about an hour and a half drive away. and she actually goes on the drive and drives out there. So we get some shots of some beautiful countryside. It looks more like England than it does America when you see these shots. Think, really? This looks like, and then other bits it would cut to, and it's like all mountains. That it looks like sort of northern Italy or Switzerland, somewhere like that. But it doesn't even look like America at all. Very picturesque. I didn't know there were parts of America like that. And anyway, she arrives eventually at this very quaint sort of bay. You see her driving towards it, and again, it looks like Whitby or somewhere like that here in England. It looks really, really English. So she arrives there, and then when you get into town, then it looks American because all the buildings are made of wood, and it almost looks like an old cowboy town. And she stops off at the local general store there to try and find out about I can't remember what his name is. It might be Mitch. I think his name is the character's name. To find out where he lives, because she wants to take these lovebirds to her, and she wants to find out the name of his daughter, because he was buying the lovebirds for his not his daughter, his sister's birthday. He's got a younger sister called Kathy. Anyway, so she's trying to find out where he lives and what's her name, and the guy in the shop's not quite sure, so he points her to the school and the school teacher, who should be able to tell him the name of his daughter, and she also then hires a boat from him, because his house is the other side of like this lake. So you've got this small like little bay town, but he lives on the other side of the bay. You can see it in the distance, like this white house. So first of all, she drives off to the teacher's house to find out, to confirm who the child's name is. And then there's a little bit of awkwardness between them, because I think there's been a past history with this woman, the teacher, because she's also from San Francisco, and she's also moved there because of Mitch, like years and years ago. But now they've obviously just become friends over time. So anyway, she finds out that his sister, I keep saying daughter, his sister's name is Kathy. So she then goes to the boat she's hired across the water. Lovely shots of this little lake as she's going over this lake towards this sort of like house on its own. And so she's quite adaptable, isn't she? She can drive a car, drive a boat. She's got no quims about doing anything like this. I think just for someone you've met once, would you really do all this? It's a little bit strange and a bit weird. Why would you do that? You know, and search around for the child's name. And she writes like a card to Kathy. I'm thinking, yeah, you'd get done for that today, wouldn't you? You know. But then, anyway, she goes across on this boat and she pulls up outside the house. And she sees that Mitch has gone into the barn, so she sneaks into the house. Yeah, excuse me, I was so tired. She sneaks into the house, and she puts the birds and the note down for Kathy, and then goes back out into her boat and back onto the lake. And then she's sort of like spying on Mitch, watching him go in the house to see his reaction of like when he goes in and sees that the lovebirds are there. So he comes out the house and starts looking around to see where he can see anything. And then he sees her on the lake. So he jumps in his car and he drives around the lake to the other side of the port. And so she sort of gets the motorboat and sort of makes her way back over to the other side of the port. But on the way over there, she gets attacked by a seagull. Attacks her in the head just before she sort of reaches the other side. So Mitch sort of like helps her out and gets to the shore, and it takes her to like this cafe or restaurant where they sort of clean up her wounds, because she's got blood dripping down here from this bird attack. And then she sort of like says that she hasn't come there to see him. She's come here to see her lost friend, her old friend, who's the school teacher. She doesn't know at this point that there's been a history between Mitch and the teacher. She doesn't know this, so he knows she's lying. So anyway, she decides to stay for a few days, and she goes back to the teacher's house because she also rents rooms out. She's multitasking, this teacher. So she stays there for the night. Um, oh, am I jumping the gun a little bit? Yeah. When she's in the cafe getting her head clean, Mitch's mother turns up, and Mitch introduces her to her, and said that she's coming round for tea later. And she goes, "Oh, I'm not quite sure. It depends what I'm doing with, my friends," sort of thing. So she then goes back to the to the teachers to rent a room, and she rents this room, and that's when they have the conversation, and the teacher tells her that there was a past between her and Mitch. Anyway, then she gets a phone call from Mitch asking her to come round, for dinner. So she makes her way round for dinner, and it's quite uncomfortable there. That straight away the daughter really, the sister Kathy, really likes the main character, but the mother doesn't. But apparently the mother didn't like the other woman either. So she stays for dinner, and there's like a bit of jibber jabber going on, and she's playing the piano, and the mother's sort of like saying to Mitch, "Oh, I don't like her," and all this kind of thing. So then she goes back to the teacher's house for the night, and there's more jibber jabber going on about Mitch's past, and the whole first hour is character building. It really, really is. And then sort of like we see Mitch at his house, and then he's sort of like, it's night time when she's gone home, and he looks up and he sees along the sort of like telephone wires, there's all these birds sat on these wires, which is quite eerie and creepy. But he doesn't take too much of it. He probably just thinks it's a flock of gulls that are going to be sort of like flying off, as they do yearly, you know. So he didn't take much notice of it. And then we cut to another day, and it's Mitch's sister Kathy's birthday. It's a birthday party. So Mitch invites her to come along. So she goes along to this birthday party, and her and Mitch take off to like up on the sandbanks and sort of have a sort of chat while the party's going on. And Mitch is saying that he quite likes her, and all this sort of thing goes on. And then they sort of head down to the party, and then the birds start attacking all the kids at the party. And they start attacking these kids, and anyone's at the party. So all the kids sort of like running into the house from these gulls. And they all get in the house safe eventually, and the birds sort of fly off. And then other things sort of happen in the film. The mother goes off to see one of her friends, and she arrives there, and he's been killed by birds. And all these, and then there's different sort of birds get involved, like they're in the house, and all these birds swoop down the chimney into the room, all these sparrows, and then the room's full of sparrows, and so it's really strange. And then there's another scene with crows, and then eventually there's thousands of birds in this bay attacking people that live there, killing, and they're getting killed, and all these accidents are happening, and it turns into an absolute sort of monster movie. It is Hitchcock's monster movie, really. It's his version of Jaws, if you like. It's an absolute terrifying film. The last hour is an out-and-out survival horror, very similar to War of the Worlds, very similar to Night of the Living Dead. It's that sort of horror thing where they're trying to lock themselves in the house and board it up. So what do I think of The Birds? It's incredible. I forgot how intense this film was, and how scary and how sort of like eerie it is. It's a really eerie film, and I love that. It's fantastic. It's a really good horror film, and it's set a precedent for future sort of killer animal films. This was like one of the earlier ones. Obviously you had ones before it. You had your sci-fi B movies, didn't you? like Tarantula and It Came From Outer Space and Attack of the Giant Crabs. You know, you had all these sort of B movies, but this was like a big budget film about these killer animals, and it's amazing. The pluses of this film, the transfer is incredible. It is stunning. It just looks amazing. Really, really cool. It could have been made this year. The cast are amazing. It's really well acted. It's really believable, and I loved the first hour. I thought, oh God, it's, you know, because you think, oh, slow burn, but it's really captivating because you're getting to know the story behind his characters. Although the main character, she's a bit weird. You know, you wouldn't just follow some guy you met to his little bay somewhere and give him birds and find out his daughter's name and get in a boat all over to his head. It's just something you wouldn't do. You know, you'd be locked up for it this day and age. But yeah, really well acted. The story is really, really cool. You don't know what direction it's going to take in the first hour. Then all of a sudden, boom, there we go. The birds start attacking. Because all you get before then is now and again you see a few birds in the place, and you know, and like I said, you get that telephone line with the birds on it, and you just think, where's this going? It's not going anywhere. And then all of a sudden it does, and it turns into a survival horror film, and it's incredible. It's amazing. Minuses of the film? None. There's no minuses to it. It's a brilliant horror killer animal monster film. I'm going to score the film an essential watch and give it a 10 out of 10. It's that good. It's such a good film. Any of you guys seen The Birds? Let me know down below what you thought of it. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. It's been years since I've seen it. And when you see it, when you actually see it was made in 1963, you see, because it's gory, it's got some really good gore in it. You think, how on earth they get away with putting all this gore in the film? It's quite gory, seeing his kids being attacked. You've got a guy with his eyes pecked out. You see the main character getting sort of like just bitten by it. But it reminded me of like a scene from another film, which I'm not going to say because I'm going to review it soon. It reminded me of scenes from that film. But yeah, really, really great film. 10 out of 10. Guys, my next Hitchcock film, and the last one of this week, yes, I was going to be obvious and go with Psycho, but I'm not. I've changed my mind. I'm going to do something a bit different, and I'm going to look at Vertigo. Alright, that's going to be the last film of the Hitchcock week. So we've had the first film, Rear Window, and now we've had The Birds, and next is going to be Vertigo. Until that video, look after yourselves, look after one another, and I really hope I see you all soon.